Here's a tip. Aim for the nerve stem and put it down for good.
Would you like to know more?
How's it going, everybody? Today I figured we would cover some of the Starship Troopers stuff. Fans will know that they just announced that they're going to be remaking it. So I figured we'd go over a few things. So without further ado, let's get after it. So this is why we're here. We all love Starship Troopers, right? Or you hate it. Maybe that's why you clicked on the video. But it's essentially a sci-fi military action movie. You know, it's done in this over-the-top propagandic style that you see here. Like in the bottom right image there, the join up now thing, total propaganda style. Maybe it's some sort of propaganda corps would be the best way to refer to it. But yeah, like all the actors are like models, you know, and it's just it comes in and out of these like enlistment ads repeatedly. Love it or hate it, like it seems to have made an impact on the culture. So this guy on X has this post here. The Starship Troopers remake situation has changed. It apparently is going to be based on the books this time. And that's why I decided to cover it, because I'm a big proprietor of book accuracy and following the IP, which, for those who don't know, the movie does not follow it very well. In fact, I believe the director was trying to be very tongue-in-cheek about certain aspects of it and like be satirical on it. You know, if some of the rumors I've heard are true, he was actually trying to be straight up disrespectful in a lot of ways, but it just kind of backfired. But we can get there. However, this increases the danger of shoving modern Hollywood bullshit into the original story. A remake of Starship Troopers is in development, with Mark Swift and Damian Shannon writing the screenplay. It's also from the director of District 9. Neil H. Morowitz is producing the film, which will be based more on the original novel by Robert A. Heinlein than the 1997 film. Yeah, that's got me excited. Even if it's not like the same as like the movie from 97, what we would see is a truer depiction of, you know, one of the great IPs of our time. It's a very cultural thing. Like, I think it's important to encourage this. This poster on X seems to be blackpilled a little bit. They think that following the original work will shove more Hollywood bullshit into it, which, I mean, that's completely what the original movie did. So, I mean, I don't want to disregard this person, but maybe they are onto something that could be their very goal, to reopening this book again and then leading the way by saying that we're going to be more accurate, because that is one of like the main gripes that people have with adaptations lately, is they just simply don't follow the source material. I can point to The Witcher just as a quick example. You know, that all fell apart, and all they had to do was follow the source material. There's plenty of memes about it now. So, personally, as far as this take goes, I'm tending to lean that it'll be less Hollywood bullshit, unless that's their objective all along. In which case, people will smell that from a mile away, because you're leading with, we're going to be more accurate. So people are going to be looking for the accuracies. And, you know, I thought of that. Ahead of time, which is why we have this here. I had Grok do a deep search of all the inaccuracies between the books and the movies, because I haven't read the book yet, but doing this little bit of research made me want to read it though. And if you stay till the end, I will be reading a part of chapter 1 from the original book. I decided to go check that out just so we could see what kind of novel it is. Until we get there, I have this from Grok, so I'll just go through it. The 1997 Starship Troopers movie and the 1959 novel by Heinlein differ significantly in tone, character, and plot, with research suggesting the movie is a satirical take on the novel's pro-military stance. And that's what I was kind of saying, is like a lot of people will come out and say that this is all satire. This is very much trying to make fun of it, but what I meant by it backfired earlier is that it very much just bolstered people's patriotism. They accidentally make some things look super cool and badass. It seems likely that the movie focuses more on action and romance, while the novel emphasizes training and philosophy, with key differences in technology like powered armor being absent in the film. Yeah, what about talk about a miss, right? I'm pretty sure Warhammer was out by then. There was other IPs using power armor. I think Fallout had to have been like at least in the works or something. So we could have had power armor this whole time. I think that's a miss. Like, why would you take that out? For more satire? Like, what did they cut the power armor out for the romance scenes? They had plenty of money for the CGI. I just rewatched it with my wife, and in anticipation for this video, it's like you had access to all this stuff, and you're gonna cut out the power armor. Okay. The evidence leans towards the movie introducing elements like psychic powers and fascist portrayal of the government, which are not in the novel, sparking debate over its interpretation as satire versus the novel's serious exploration of duty. Yes, this is basically kind of what it comes down to, is the original novel was criticizing communism, from what I gather, and propping up military glory, and the new movie was trying to satirize that and basically say the militarism, American militarism is basically fascist, and all that. They're comparing commies to bugs, that whole thing, hive mind, utilitarian unity culture sort of thing. So yeah, it goes deep, and it's kind of been an age-old debate back and forth. Some of the major changes, you can imagine the tone and the message. Obviously, that's what we just kind of went over. Characters and relationship in the movie. The movie features a love quadrangle involving Rico, Carmen, Dizzy, female in the film, which Dizzy was male in the novel. Interesting. And Xander, which is absent in the novel. So Xander didn't even exist in the novel, and Dizzy was a man. And so when they made this movie, they said, hey, Rico's buddy Dizzy, let's make him a female and a love interest, and his girlfriend that goes off, how about we just invent this character named Xander, and she can fall in love with him, and they can be this love quadrangle. Good luck with that nowadays, to be honest. And yeah, that is one aspect where I felt like it was laid on a little thick. It kind of goes with the fact that they're leaning into all the different tropes that they do lean into, and they have the stylized propagandic look. Those kind of over-the-top love stories can be part of that, I think, for sure. Rico is portrayed as an all-American white boy in the movie, while the novel reveals him as a Filipino. He is from Buenos Aires, and I think he has like a Filipino last name, but he is played by a very Aryan, looking actor. But, I always personally chalk that up to how unified the world has become in the future. I don't want to write for the movie, though. That I'll let the loopholes be loopholes that Grok pulls up here, because, I think Grok looked at a bunch of different websites and stuff for this. So, plot and technology. This seems like big differences here. Let's see. The movie spends less time on training, focusing on war, and omits the novel's powered armor for mobile infantry, using simpler gear instead. The novel includes additional alien species like neodogs and skinnies, not seen in the film, and depicts bugs as technologically advanced, unlike the primitive portrayal in the movie. So the bugs are technologically advanced, and there's other aliens in the novel. They cut all that out, made the bugs primitive, but then just still made them smart. Spoilers at the end. There's brain bugs. Pretty big differences there if you go from technology to no technology. Yeah, so that's some pretty big stuff. I'll go through it here slowly for those who want to take screenshots. But it kind of butchers the book. Essentially, when you think about it. And yet everybody, I would say, the way I described it to my wife, most people love it. It's like a cult classic, and like I said, it tended to affect culture in a lot of ways. For those who want to take a look at Grok's analysis here, here's the conclusion. This comparison reveals a stark contrast between the two, which, we covered. Readers and viewers interested in the full scope consider bold, noting the film's significant deviations. Conclusion, movie butchers the books. Now they're saying, we will remake this movie following the books more. Okay. I'll give you a thumbs up on that one, Grok. From Possum. Shoutouts to Possum. This guy in the Starship Troopers book is in the Starship Troopers book, but where the movie played it for laughs, the book explains that the military deliberately puts amputees and disfigured people in recruitment stations to scare away people from joining for the wrong reasons. So they put, disfigured soldiers in the very front in those recruitment positions to scare people away, because they want only the most zealotous, avid, patriotic soldiers. While there are benefits to serving in the military, they don't want people to join just for the benefits, and only want people who are willing to sacrifice themselves for the Federation. The logic is that, since only people who serve can vote, this effectively prevents cowards and selfish people from voting. The mobile infantry doesn't even go after deserters because it only wants committed people. It's like, fine, desert, we don't even want you anyway, you're not good enough. That isn't to say that the Federation discriminates. Anyone can join the military, even if they're handicapped in some way. Actually, one of Johnny's instructors is blind. This is true. It's the mad scientist lady that I never noticed until rewatching it this time around. There's a doctor teacher that he has early on when he's in school, completely blind. And another who's quadriplegic, also true. The military of the Federation has a job for everyone and anyone, so anyone can join if they're willing to take the risks and get citizenship. This system ensures only people who have served in the military and who know what war is like get to vote for the leaders who would decide whether or not the Federation goes to war, and non-citizens aren't treated as lesser than those who serve. Actually, a common sentiment among the civilians in the books is that the military service is a false glory, that being allowed to vote isn't worth it, and Johnny's rich and powerful non-citizen parents try to convince him not to enlist for that reason. And some of that trickled into the movie, okay? And this is kind of part of the example of how their satire backfired. I'll give Possum I'll give him a repost here too. They tried to do some of this stuff to make it look like, oh, look, they're forcing people to, look how fascist they are, they're forcing people to join. But in the reality of it is, in the books, they were trying to do that for a reason to deter people away. And some of that stuff bleeds through and people notice, for instance, there's no freedom of speech, or taking a vacation under an authoritarian regime, for example, and they're doing that even in this apparently satirical take. So it's how seriously can we take it that these are fascists if they're doing cooler, more and normal everyday things that we are already entitled to, the types of similar freedoms. On to the next one. Just a good scene in a single GIF. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, the brain bug at the end. That's how they get to know us, how they figure out how to kill us and understand us. Yeah, totally makes sense. This is how you do it. Another take. The best thing about Starship Troopers is that the novel, 1959, basically invented the category of science fiction military. One of my favorites. If you're interested in knowing more about the origins of this category, also check out the Forever War by Joe Haldeman and the extremely funny parody Bill the Galactic Hero by Harry Harrison. Also, The War Against the Roll, published the same year as Starship Troopers, but less action-oriented. Okay, and here, he chose Fallout with the power armor. Why? Because they omitted the power armor from the movie. Where's my damn power armor? If they're remaking a movie and they're gonna go full power armor, and it's gonna be because I'll be honest with everybody right now, I'll be honest with you. All they would have to do is maintain kind of that same shine that the 97 movie had. You could even keep some of the propaganda feel, as long as it maintains the proper tone. One of the main things was the tone was different. But yeah, I'm here for the power armor. This post is a major claim that it invented the category of military science fiction. It invented that. That is a major claim. when I first read this, I was like, ooh, wow, I'm gonna keep this page open, and look into that, which leads me to my next point, guys. Look at this. Boom. I hit up Grok again to do a deep dive on whether or not this post was true. So, it seems likely that Robert A. Heinlein's novel Starship Troopers from 1959 is the work most associated with establishing military science fiction as a distinct genre, given its focus on military themes and futuristic warfare. There's also one from the 30s, I will add, The Origin of Power Armor. If you follow that rabbit hole down to the first one, power armor debuted in the 30s. I'm talking technological sci-fi power armor, because obviously there's always magical armor from medieval stories and fairy tales and stuff like that. I was actually surprised that it was 1959 when military science fiction was apparently invented, but here it is, deep dive and everything, a few dozen websites, boom, in black and white. Research suggests earlier works like E. Doc Smith's Lensman. This is what I'm talking about. The Lensman. It's Lensman armor. That's the power armor. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. From the 30s and 40s. And H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds in 1898 was War of the Worlds. Influenced the genre, but they are often classified as space opera or general science fiction. So the loophole here is that Starship Troopers invented military sci-fi, where it's just like, it's basically epic, right? Where there had been like power armor and some of these similar themes before, but those were more hyper-focused on different things. Like maybe instead of overarching, it's just more of like a person living in this world kind of thing. Like War of the Worlds, right? This event happens. Nothing is really fully explained. We just kind of go through the situation that unfolds, right? The evidence leans towards Starship Troopers as a foundational text, though the genre's development involved multiple authors and works over time. Military science fiction blends science fiction. So, yeah, this is going to go over a bunch of the other, like, it's going to break down military science fiction as opposed to other genres and stuff like that. So what I'll do is I'll do another slow scroll for those who want to, like, pause and read some of this. Unexpected details, survey notes, detailed analysis of it, historical context, mid-20th century development. So yeah, it seems like there was a boof, an explosion of like this type of sci-fi in the early 1900s, and it's only been growing since then. Here's a bunch of works that you guys can check out. I'm all for it. These are probably all quintessential, to be honest. Oh, and it highlights the evolution of it. Unexpected details and the key citations. Okay, cool. I'll give Grok a thumbs up on that one too. The final thing I wanted to do was read a little bit from it so we can compare, and then from here I would just suggest to go maybe check out the old movie if it's your cup of tea, because I enjoyed rewatching it with my wife recently. Maybe not 100% her thing, but I don't think she hated it either. I think she was asking me at the beginning, she's like, how have I not heard of this? So either way, I'll just read like a page or two. Let's see what we got here. Come on, you apes, you want to live forever? Unknown platoon sergeant, 1918. I always get the shakes before a drop. I've had the injections, of course, and hypnotic preparation, and it stands to reason that I can't really be afraid. The ship's psychiatrist has checked my brain waves and asked me silly questions while I was asleep, and he tells me that it isn't fear. It isn't anything important. It's just the rambling. It's just like the trembling of an eager racehorse in the starting gate. I couldn't say about that. I've never been a racehorse, but the fact is I'm scared silly every time. At D-30, we've had mustered in the drop room of the Roger Young. Our platoon leader inspected us. He wasn't our regular platoon leader because Lieutenant Ratsack had bought it on our last drop. He was really the platoon sergeant, career ship sergeant Lelal. Jelly was a Finno-Turk from Iskander around Proxima. A swarthy little man who looked like a clerk, but I've seen him tackle 2 berserk privates so big he had to reach up to grab them, crack their heads together like coconuts, step back out of the way while they fell. Off duty, he wasn't bad for a sergeant. You could even call him Jelly to his face. No recruits, of course, but anybody who had made at least 1 combat drop. But right now he wasn't on duty. We had all each inspected our combat equipment. Look, it's your own next, see? In parentheses, interesting seeing parentheses. The acting platoon sergeant had gone over us carefully after he mustered us, and now Jelly went over us again, his face mean, his eyes missing nothing. He stopped by the man in front of me, pressed a button on his belt that gave readings on his physicals. Fall out. But Sarge, it's just a cold, the surgeon said. Jelly interrupted. But Sarge, he snapped, the sergeant ain't making no drop, and neither are you with a 1.5 degrees of fever. You think I got time to chat with you just before I drop? Fall out. So, yeah, even if they got a little bit of a fever, it seems like they won't even let them participate. You know, if they're sick or, missing limbs and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. You know, people seem to think it's going to go either way, but as long as they view it as a cultural work and respect it, then I think it'll be a huge success. I want to see the power armor too. That'd be really cool, because Fallout has a monopoly on it right now, because the Halo show completely shit the bed, and that's where we're at on that. Cheers.